Today's lesson is on powers and exponents. Powers and exponents. The last lesson we talked about rational numbers and what kind of rational numbers there are, terminating decimals, repeating decimals, percents, fractions, integers, whole numbers, natural numbers. Today we're looking at powers and exponents. You should be familiar with both of those words. First thing is vocabulary. It says write and evaluate powers. So writing, of course, we're going to write the power. Evaluate, if you notice in the middle of the word evaluate, is the word value. And I always tell students that evaluate means find the value of. Solve it. Find the value. Tell me what it is. A product of repeated factors can be expressed as a power that is using an exponent and a base. Product means multiply. Repeated factors. Factors implies multiplication. Repeated means the same number. So 2 times 2 times 2 and so on. Can be expressed as a power that is using an exponent and a base. Okay? A power using an exponent and a base. The base and the exponent together make up a power. Okay, that's my preferred term right there, is they make up a power together. The base is the common factor. We are multiplying 2 by itself as many times as the exponent tells us to. The exponent is 4. The exponent tells us how many times we multiply the 2 by itself, the repeated factor part. So the exponent tells us that there's 4 factors in this power, and the base tells us that 2 is our repeated factor. So over here, we have 4 factors, and 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. This is our base, and there's 4 of them, as the exponent tells us to. Again, the base with the exponent together are called a power. Powers are read in a certain way. The first one is 3 to the first power. Okay, we have a exponent of 1 to the first power, and there's 1 factor. I have an exponent of 2. It says 3 to the second power, or the special word there that you should know is squared. How many factors are there? 2. Why are there 2 factors? Because the exponent is 2. Okay? Next one, 3 cubed, or 3 to the third power. Our special word here is cubed. And third power, okay, third power means 3 factors. 3 factors. 3 to the fourth power, or 3 to the fourth, I don't like that at all, so I'm going to just cross that off. My preference is to the fourth power, to the seventh power, to the ninth power, whatever it is. The exponent is 4, so there should be 4 factors, and indeed there are. Last one they give us, this is all the numbers in between, on and on and on. I have 3 to the n power, 3 to the nth power, or 3 to the nth. Again, that's not my preference. This is my preference right here, 3 to the nth power. Reading and writing them. First example says write each expression using exponents. Write each expression using exponents. Well, I see here I have a common factor of -2. I also see that I have a common factor of 3, so I have 2 different bases here. Okay, I have 2 different bases. Notice that I put my -2 in parentheses just like they did for us. How many repeated factors of -2 do I have? 3. So it's -2 to the third power times 3 to the 1, 2, 3, fourth power. So -2 to the third power times 3 to the fourth power. Or -2 cubed times 3 to the fourth power. It doesn't say evaluate it. That is my answer. Next one, A times B times B times A times B. Again, I see I have 2 bases here. I have a base of A and I have a base of B. The first one is A because that comes alphabetically first, and I see that I have two of them repeated. Then I see that I have a B which comes after A, and I have three of those. So my answer would be A squared times B cubed, or A to the second power times B to the third power. You can write it like that without the times sign in between them. I do it both ways, so I can't really say that I do it one way more than the other, but it's the same thing. That little multiplication symbol is not needed. Okay? The next one are the got it. So take out your folder, open up, find your got it problems for this lesson, and fill them in so you don't have to do it in class. Letter A, I have 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. That's the same base repeated over and over. Okay, it's repeated 1, 2, 3, 4 times. My preference when I use a fraction is to put it in parentheses. My base is 1/2, my exponent is 4. My exponent is 4 because there are 4 1/2s being multiplied together. The next one, I have 3 4s, 4 times 4 times 4, and then I have 5 times 5. So in order to write this in exponential form, I count up how many 4s I have as repeated factors, and there are 3 of them, so 4 cubed, or 4 to the third power. And then I have 2 5s, so it's 5 squared, or 5 to the second power. All right? When I'm using numbers, I do put that multiplication sign in between them, but when I'm using variables, I do not. So 4 cubed times 5 squared, or 4 to the third power, times 5 to the second power. 1, 2, 3 m's. And you can see what I'm doing to make sure that I do not miss one when I'm doing this. I have m to the third power, of course m comes before n, times n to the second power. So I have m cubed, I have m cubed times n squared, or m to the third power times n to the second power. Example 3, evaluate. Again, that word evaluate, the word value is in the middle. That means solve. What else does it mean? It means find the value of. Okay, find the value of. So I have negative 2/3 is my base, and it's raised to the fourth power, which means I need to multiply that base, negative 2/3, times itself 4 times. There's my second factor, there's my third factor, and there's my fourth factor. No grabbing a calculator. Okay, you're using your head, you're using your rules that you know from sign numbers. A negative times a negative is a positive. Multiplying fractions, I multiply numerator by numerator and then denominator by denominator. 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9. Times. Again, on this side, negative times negative is positive. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. Fractions again, numerator times numerator is 16. 9 times 9, 81. So when I evaluate the power, negative 2/3 to the fourth power, my answer is 16 over 81. These are the got it. So again, open up your textbook so you don't have to do these in class. 4 to the fourth power. 4 is my base, and 4 is also my exponent. That means we're going to multiply 4 by itself 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, again, no calculator, because the more numbers you have to enter to solve a problem, my fear is that you're going to make a mistake entering. So 4 times 4, 16. 4 times 4, 16. Now you can grab your calculator. 16 times 16, 256. Okay? Next one is negative 2 to the sixth power. Evaluate it. Find out what it means, what it's worth, what's the value. Solve it. So my base is negative 2, and my exponent is 6. My base is my repeated factor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Notice I'm using parentheses each time. Okay, notice I'm using parentheses each time. Again, no calculator. -2 times -2 is 4. -2 times -2 is 4. -2 times -2 is 4. 4 times 4, 16. 16 times 4, I know a lot of you already know that basic fact. And 4 times 2 is 6. That gives me an answer of 64. So -2 to the 6th power is a positive answer. It's 64. And the last one, 1/5 to the 3rd power. 1/5 is my base, and it's raised to the 3rd power. The exponent is 3. 1/5, I know that I like to use 1/5 or parentheses around fractions when I'm multiplying fractions. No calculator. 1/5 times 1/5. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 5 is 25. Times 1/5. 1 times 1 is 1. And 5/4 is $1.25 or 125. Evaluate. Find the value of powers. Next one, the deck of a skateboard has an area of about 2 to the 5th power times 7 square inches. What is the area of the skateboard deck? Okay, so the area of the deck is, I'm going to fill that in, and it's inches squared. Okay, so now we have to evaluate 2 to the 5th times 7. 2 to the 5th power means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It's 2 multiplied by itself, repeating factor, 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then times 7. 2 times 2 is 4. No calculator. 2 times 2 is 4. No calculator. 2 times 7 is 14. Next step is 16 times 14. Now I'll let you grab a calculator. Okay, now I'll let you grab a calculator. 16 times 14 would be 224. So the area of the deck is 224 inches squared. The area of the deck is 224 inches squared. Okay, moving on to the got it question. Again, open up your textbook and follow along. A school basketball court has an area of 2 to the 3rd power times 3 times 5 squared times 7 square feet. Okay, so the area of the court, the question is, what is the area of the school basketball court? The area of the court is feet squared. We're going to fill that in when we're done. 2 cubed times 3 times 5 squared times 7. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, and 4 times 2 is 8. I'll bring my 3 down. 5 squared is 5 times 5, which is, of course, 25, and then times 7. 8 times 3 is 24, and 7/4 would give you 175 or $1.75. And now all I have to do is multiply those two numbers. 24 times 175 is 4,200. Again, only using my calculator at the end when I need it. 4,200 feet squared. Evaluating powers. Evaluating powers. Evaluate each expression if A equals 3 and B equals 5. Evaluate. Means we have to plug in here. So I have A squared plus B to the 4th. A squared plus B to the 4th. A is 3, so I go 3 squared plus b to the fourth, b is 5, so 5 to the fourth. 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 5 to the fourth is 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, 5 times 5 is 25, and 25 times 25 is 625. It says to add these two numbers together, so when I add them together, I get 634. So when I evaluate, I get 634 or 634. There's my answer. Evaluate. Plug in. Follow the order of operations. A minus B squared. Again, my A is 3. And my B is 5. What am I doing with them? I'm subtracting and squaring it. If I think about my order of operations, you've seen me do this before, and I can see that I've got parentheses and I have exponents. Okay, so I'm going to do my parentheses first, and 3 minus 5 is negative 2, and I'm going to square that. So negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. Okay, equals 4. You have to show your work. You can't just pick up your calculator and grab it and start using it. You need to show your work. The got it questions. Open up your book. C equals negative 4 and D equals 9. C equals negative 4 and D equals 9. Okay, now I'm going to add my other information. I have cubed plus squared. So I've replaced my C with a negative 4, cubed plus D, which is 9 squared. Negative 4 cubed means negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. Please don't just pick up your calculator. Plus 9 squared means 9 times 9. Order of operations says, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, and multiply comes before add. 9 times 9 is 81, so I can get that side done and over with. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16, and 16 times negative 4 is negative 64. If I have $81 and I owe you 64, I still have $17 in my pocket. Okay. Next one, C is negative 4. So I have a C of negative 4. And I have a D of 9. Okay. Put my parentheses, I bring down my plus, and I'm going to cube whatever that is. Again, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. You have to think about this, consider it, not in your head, write it down. Parentheses, then exponents. I have 9, but I owe you 4. Well, good, I still have 5 left. And 5 cubed, 5 is my base, and the exponent of 3 tells me to multiply that base by itself 3 times. 5 times 5 is 25, and 25 times 5 is 125. 25 times 5 is 125. Last one looks a little more complicated because I've got 3 different things going on here. All right, I've got parentheses and I've got exponents, so I need to be really careful. My D is 9. That's 9 cubed minus. I have parentheses and I have a C. My C is negative 4. So I'm going to go negative 4 squared minus 2. Think about and consider your order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I see parentheses, I see exponents, and I see subtraction. Okay? So let's see what we have here. 9 cubed is 9 times 9 times 9. 9 times 9 is 81. And 81 times 9 is 240. Nope, sorry, my fault, is 729. 729. So I'm done with this whole first part. Minus, minus. Now inside my parentheses, I have to follow the order of operations again. And you see I have an exponent, so that has to happen first. So I have a negative 4 times a negative 4. And negative times negative is positive, and 4 times 4 is 16. So I'm just going to drop this 16 down. I can't get rid of my parentheses yet because I still have more than one number in there. Okay? And then I'm going to go minus 2, minus 2. Well, 16 minus 2 in parentheses is 14, and 729 minus 14 is 715. Notice the work I've shown. All right, I don't do this in my head. I write it out. I underline things. I show what's happening so that not only do you see what you're doing, but the person that's checking your paper or trying to help you can help you see what you're doing incorrectly. If all you have is an answer and it's wrong, there's nothing I can do to help you. Okay, but if you show your work and I see a misstep, it's much easier to help. So again, today's lesson, exponents powers, writing them, reading them, writing expressions in exponential form, and evaluating expressions.